So we live together.
Yep.
We watch football together.
Yep.
We talk about football together.
Yep.
Why don't we just start a podcast?
Sounds like a plan to me.
I'm sorry, but I'm on my feet applauding. Wow. What a week.
That's all we can do, man.
Wow.
Champions League, you rocked my world, man. Honestly, you have absolutely rocked my world. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the eye test. I feel like I probably look like I just partied all night or something. I can promise you it's not that. But man, I could barely sleep last night. Honestly, all I could think of was just
No, I woke up smiling, you know.
Yeah, no, honestly.
It's crazy. Do you know what? When they say, that hate might be better than support, they might be onto something, bro. I can't remember even after the United win, I wake up like, oh, let me just check what's going on.
Yeah.
I woke up smiling. I had an extra, what would you say, extra pep in my step or whatever you call it, bro.
Sun was shining. Honestly, nothing can ruin my day today.
No, honestly, it's beautiful.
Football's an amazing sport. As you guys say on FCM, right? Hold tight the 3-point collectors. Hold tight the participants.
Hold tight
the participants. Yeah,
semi-finalists.
honestly, bro. Hold tight the semifinalists and hold tight the guys going home because we were fed a meal. Not even just a snack, a treat, a full 3-course meal, bro.
Yams. I got yams over here. Got neck bone. Got chicken wings over there. Got collard greens.
I'm full, man. Honestly, I'm full.
Oh my god.
The Champions League served up. Wow, that's one of, if not the best quarterfinal set of games I can ever remember watching, bro. And it comes from a competition that the last few years, I think we were starting to feel like a bit of backlash about it, thinking, does the Champions League still have its same allure? The games don't really hit no more. Up to the quarterfinals, basically, there's no entertainment. It's so obvious what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
The Champions League just looked at all of us and just left and said, have that. Hold that. Because these 4 games that we're going to talk about, there's box office, showtime, storylines from all of them, end-to-end excitement, penalty shootouts, 5-4 scorelines on aggregate. Where do we start? Which one do we start from? Does it have to be the marquee matchup?
Let's start with that one. Let's start with the Man City. I think it's the Man City.
It has to be.
It's Man City, Real Madrid. I mean, for it, especially that it went penalties as well. The drama of it all. It was just a mad tie in general. Obviously, we know 3-3 in the first leg. Foden had a big moment. Lunin had a little bit of a howler for the Bernardo goal, but then they scored brilliant goals. Valverde, I know you like him too. I'm sure you're talking about him. Valverde, Vinny, Rodrigo. They again in the second leg. Rodrigo again. I just think, when you like to see quality on the pitch, that always gives you that extra little bit feeling. I feel like Real Madrid are always that team, no matter what in the Champions League. They give everyone a different feeling, bro. There's something about Real Madrid and Champions League. We know about the heritage. We know about how much they prioritize it. But not only that, it's the way they do certain things, bro. It's the way it happens. That they always give you a moment of magic or a dramatic outcome. It's always Real Madrid. And for them to go to the Etihad, I know they didn't win in the game, but for them to walk away from the Etihad with a victory, Etihad's record is incredible in the Champions League in the last couple of years.
It still holds. So they were on a 30-game unbeaten run at home in Champions League.
And it's
the longest run of all time for a Premier League team. 38 is the record from Barcelona. And it still holds because it's technically a draw tonight. Yeah. Rodri's unbeaten run as a City player still holds. Yeah. It's still 67 games. So Madrid were going up. And in fact, they had a record that I think they maintained last night. Madrid had never lost to the same team in back-to-back Champions League campaigns. As in, if they lose to it once, they don't lose to it a second time. You saw it with Bayern in 2013. You saw it with Chelsea in 2021. You saw it this year.
That's crazy.
When you talk about heritage in this competition, you are literally having to defeat history and statistics to beat this Real Madrid team.
And the thing is, it was just 2 teams with records, with all these stats.
Let me ask you this. A lot of the time we say, that's the final. That was the Champions League. Did we watch the Champions League final last night?
You know what? No, I don't think we did. Crazy to say, but I don't think we did. Because I'm looking at the PSG. I'm looking at even Dortmund, which we'll get into as well. But I feel like Bayern, I think there's surprises in this Champions League, which we have already seen. The fact that Man City went out. And I think when the draw happened, people thought Man City were going through. When the draw happened, people thought Atletico was going through. So a lot of people favoured Arsenal.
Barcelona,
Bayern Munich are 16 points behind or nearly 20 points behind in their league. So we've seen surprises. So as much as it seems on paper, Real Madrid, Man City, that feels like a Champions League final, right? But I actually don't think it is, especially because, yes, I know City, 33 shots, 9 on target, dominated the possession. I think Real Madrid only had 30% possession. But this doesn't, I've said it all season, it just doesn't feel like Man City. This doesn't feel like it. And I'm happy there's a bit of validation for that claim. Because usually when you say, doesn't really feel like City, they're going to win it all. And they might go and win the Premier League. But I think people are even looking at Arsenal now like, and looking at Liverpool like, maybe it's not as strong as we thought it was.
That's what you were saying, yeah.
Exactly. So I'm looking at Man City and I'm just like, and I tweeted it and I said, if this Man City went on and done another treble, I'm sorry, football's embarrassed. This team isn't an all-time Man City team, bro. Do you know what I mean? I thought last season they were just functional. They got it over the line. Haaland was on Winter Soldier serum. It was crazy. But this year it's just declined a little bit more. KDB is much more of just a moments player. Now we don't even talk about KDB as a performance anymore. Just like, did he get a GA? Oh yeah, he did. Okay, cool. Oh, he's the best in the world. That's what we say now. We're pretty much with Kevin De Bruyne. With a Haaland, 11 touches, not really been at it this season. The wing threats. The only thing that we've really been boosting this season for Man City is Philip Foden and Rodri.
That's true.
Bernardo's been okay.
Yeah.
Like Nunes and all these guys that came in, not really done anything. Doku has had moments. Jack Grealish has been injured. The defense have been awful for me. The defense are all over the place.
Such a 180 from last season where really it was like, oh, Pep has finally turned this team into a defensive machine. I completely agree with you. I also thought last year City almost paced themselves so well so that the last 3 months of the season they were at their apex. Like they started off slow, but it was almost like LeBron playoff mode. They were just trying to figure it out so that when it came to crunch time in the league, the Champions League and the FA Cup, they would be at their optimal best. And I think people were kind of expecting that from City this year as well too, because they started slowly. But really, just like you said, I don't think they've ever and still haven't reached the best that this team can get. Even the way the Etihad was bumping last season when Madrid came to town. I didn't feel that way this year, man. I didn't feel like everything City touched this year would turn to gold. And I said it this year, even I predicted City to go through this round, but I did say they feel human this year. They feel mortal. Like even if Madrid hadn't knocked them out, it was never going to be a 4-0 like they did last year.
And the thing is, that's the thing. I think when you speak to Man City fans as well, they agree with it. I was seeing Big Steve talk about it on another platform, and he was just like this just doesn't feel like we haven't been at it. So the onus should be on Arsenal to win the league. The onus should be on Liverpool because we haven't been at it.
You look at their big six record, they're United.
If you let City win the league, he was basically saying, if you let City win the league,
it's a poor league.
It's embarrassing on you guys.
That's true.
Because we're not at it. Yeah. So I think, again, this was a moment where it was like, okay, we really ain't at it. Next season, we're probably going to have to recruit a lot more. And look, we're talking about potential Premier League champions. So people can be like, oh, well, you guys can make potential, we're going to win the league. That's not what we're saying. We're holding City to the standards that City have set. They're the treble winners. They've won 3 in a row. That we've seen great City side. We've seen great Pep sides. So it's only right we hold them to the standards that they've set, not to the standards of the other guys. We're holding them to the standards that they've set. If Real Madrid got knocked out in the last 16 of a tournament, it's an absolute meltdown, bro. We're going to go absolutely bizarre because why? They've set Champions League standards, and City have set a standard of performance, of how good they are.
Facts.
That we have to hold them to that. So yes, my energy is going to be different on them than it is on Liverpool or is on these guys, but that's because they've set this amazing standard. So I just think when I looked at it, and as I said, they had all the possession and stuff, but again, I got to go back to Real Madrid. There's just something about Real Madrid. And do you know what's so funny, bro? Florentino Perez, is the one that had been driving Super League, only for him to win it one year after the Super League thing, go to a semi-final, and now put in another semis and potentially go to a final again. Like, he's probably looking at, I try to give y'all a chance.
Yeah, man.
I tried to give y'all a chance.
He was like, I don't want to. I'm just bored of this competition.
Bro, I tried to give you guys a chance, and you guys are still letting me run riot. It's insane. Like, Benzema in, it doesn't matter. Ronaldo, it doesn't matter. Sergio Ramos, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna put Rudiger. I'm just gonna put Rodrigo. I'm just gonna put Jude. Like, It doesn't matter.
They just keep reinventing the wheel, man.
Going.
It's a relentless winning machine. That's the name of the game for Real Madrid. Like you said, that's not to discredit Ronaldo. That's not to discredit Ramos. That's not to discredit Benzema. But Real Madrid exists before and after every single superstar, bro.
And that's why they're such an elite club. I always say, look, I'm a United fan, whatever, but in terms of the greatness of a club, look, we just no shame in saying that Real Madrid are the greatest club in history of the game, and they prove it time and time again. And now you're looking at it, and you're looking at who the favorites will be. You're looking at Real Madrid, and you're looking at 15 times. You're looking at it's going to be Jude's first one. It's going to be like just the way I was listening to Jude speak, and it just seemed how he was like just seemed so seamless. As soon as you step into that club, there's something that just takes over you where you know. I'm at a
What's
major
that Harry Potter thing? It's like
club,
you don't
bro.
choose the one chooses
There
you.
we go.
Hey, Real Madrid chooses you, bro.
And it's just absolutely different. But I want to give, before we go into the players,
I wanted to give credit to Real Madrid's performance.
yes, I wanted to give credit to Ancelotti.
Go ahead.
Because Ancelotti, he's such a, how can I say, he's such a, is it weird conundrum, right?
He's an enigma.
There we go. He's like an enigma. He's a weird conundrum where he, time and time again, like lately, okay, in the beginning, there was a lot of question marks about Ancelotti's league records. Yeah. But in the last couple of years, I think he's starting to iron that out while still being pretty dominant in the Champions League, or very competitive. He's obviously got the record for most Champions League. And this season, he can make it, is it 5 Champions Leagues to his name? He's got 4.
He had
got
2 with Milan.
and 2 with Real Madrid.
His 5th one.
So he can make it 5 Champions Leagues. And he is the only manager to knock Pep out 3 times in the Champions League. He has knocked Pep out 3 times in the Champions League. And when you look at the 2 styles of the managers, I honestly think you look at Ancelotti's teams, how he sets up, you look at Pep's, and you think, it's kind of a mismatch for Ancelotti's team because of the way Pep's teams are. They want to dominate the ball and stuff, but he always finds a way. And it's time to actually respect the manager, because we often speak about, the big 3 is Pep, Jose, and Fergie. Is it really?
Ancelotti.
Is Ancelotti not? Can we not put Ancelotti in there?
Ancelotti, right? Ancelotti, I call him the black swan of modern day football because he is the antithesis of all these guys in terms of the Peps, the Artetas, the Tuchels. I'll even throw Klopp is not similar to Pep in many regards, but in terms of like the way they want their team to be dominant on the ball at all times. Ancelotti is that one guy who really prioritizes his players' strengths more than the system as a whole. And when we're going to talk about Arteta in a bit and about maybe how that's a little bit of Arsenal's downfall this season. You can never throw that at Real Madrid's teams. He always prioritizes his individual players' strengths and builds the system around them. And this year is the best example of this. Why? They lost Karim Benzema in the summer. They're only number 9. They didn't bring in a leg for it. They brought Joselu. He didn't even see the pitch this second leg. He brought in Jude. How is it going to work? How is Jude going to thrive? Well, Vinny and Rodrigo. He created a system that has gotten the best out of Jude Bellingham in that attacking midfield position. He's found a new role for Vinny and Rodrigo where a lot of people didn't think they'd be able to thrive. They're almost playing as dual forwards. He's found a role now for Toni Kroos in his latter years where he has enough protection. He just looks at all of his players and says, where am I going to fit you in the first phase? Forget all of that, bro. I'll adapt my system to you, and we're still going to succeed through it.
And the thing that's most impressive about Ancelotti, and that we have to give him credit for, and which is why I'm saying, do we have to now start rearranging top 3s and stuff when you're talking about the greatest managers of the modern era, let me just say, because I don't want to talk about Arrigos. I don't know about managers that we haven't seen before, right? Because his man management, the way he manages, Jude said they went in at halftime and Ancelotti was yawning, and he said, boss, and he's like, hey, you guys are making me bored. Go and entertain me out there. Like, what's going on? That was something that Fergie used to do. Fergie always used to say, listen, guys, if we're going to at least get some shots, at least somebody try a long shot. At least he just knows the way of getting the best out of players through his man management. And the thing is, tactically, I've said it before, he's starting to get underrated in terms of how to set up a team to win. Now, people seem to, as I always say, people think the game has to be pass this. No, he sets up his team. How are we going to not concede goals, and how am I going to get the best out of my superstar talent? Now, the reason why you may look at him and think, all right, there's black marks on him is because when you look at, maybe he didn't have that superstar talent at Napoli. He didn't have that superstar talent at Everton, and it kind of a little bit went tits up. But some managers can't manage at the elite level. I'm not going to say Unai Emery is, but that's what Unai Emery is thrown at. At the elite level, can he manage? Some managers are for elite clubs. Some managers are for mid-table clubs. Some managers are survival mode managers. Yeah. And one thing that Ancelotti has proven time and time again is that he is an elite manager. And we have to give him more credit for how he's reinvented himself in terms of he was a manager in the early 90s, bro. Yeah. Those great Milan teams were 20 years ago. Jose's fell off. Ancelotti's still here. So we got to give him massive credit. He's competing against young wizards, young tacticos, guys that are learned off the Pep way. And he's competing and beating these guys. So I think Ancelotti has to get massive credit. And if you're talking about a top three, I'm starting to look at that Jose spot. I have to look at that because it's not going to be Pep and Fergie. It's not going to be Pep and Fergie. I have to start looking. And you know, Jose, other than Fergie, is my favorite manager. But so are you telling me if Ancelotti gets his 5th Champions League this season, it's going to get uncomfortable, bro. It's going to get uncomfortable. Let's be honest.
I didn't know you were going down that direction.
Let's be honest, Lyés, bro. We love Jose. Let's be honest.
Hold on. I need to sleep over this one. I can't lie. This has disrupted my... What did J. Cole say? It's disrupted my soul, man. My energy doesn't feel right now, bro.
Oh, my God.
Let me say this about Carlo as well, too. In-game management, he has shown time and time again when it comes to substitutions and not just bringing in the right player, but bringing in the right player at the exact right moment when he feels that the game is slightly shifting out of his control. I think he is the best at it. I saw it a few years ago with his substitutions of bringing Camavinga on for Cruz when he needed to relieve pressure, bring on Rodrigo at the right time. He did it brilliantly 2 years ago. In this game as well, too, his I don't know what it is. It's just his sense for when to change the game up. Bringing Modric when it looked like the game was starting to get out of Real Madrid's reach, just to kind of have a guy to relieve pressure. Bringing on Brahim Diaz when he needed to. I just think he makes the right changes at the exact right time. But I think, and I kind of told you this last night, but I wanted to save it for the pod as well too. That defensive performance by Real Madrid is that of absolute warriors. And I'll tell you this right now. In terms of the storyline, in terms of the quality of both teams, okay, it's not on the level of what I'm about to say. But in terms of the heroics and in terms of what it could mean going to a major ground and upsetting the apple cart like that ahead of what could be a historic, again, Champions League win, that victory last night is for me on a similar pedestal to the likes of Inter going to the Camp Nou in 2010, to the likes of even Chelsea going to the Camp Nou in 2012. I'm telling you, in my opinion, facing 33 shots against who we call the greatest goal scorer in the world, the greatest creator in the world, the best manager in the world, the treble winners, to go do what Real Madrid did like that and defend with their lives for 120 minutes. I saw Jude Bellingham basically on his knees in the final moments of the game. And we're going to talk about those kinds of winning mentality intangibles of a champion. We're going to talk about that in a bit. But I saw Jude Bellingham literally on his knees. People are saying, oh, don't give him the PR. Oh, he played a poor game. I can hear that. But they gave everything last night. If they were going to lose, they were going to lose with their blood on the grass.
I have to disagree to that magnitude. Now, I get what you're saying in terms of what they had to do. The task in mind is the same. But I have to think about them Inter games. Yeah, Inter and the Chelsea. Bro, they had 10 men.
Which is valid.
They lost their linchpin DM in Thiago Motta. Yeah. Chelsea lost their skipper and John Terry because he's a madman, bro. Yeah. These guys had their backs against the wall against peak Messi, bro.
Yes, peak.
Yeah, the Camp Nou. Listen, but Etihad, hold on. Etihad, you're a great stadium. You've got the 30.
Real Madrid are playing Nacho Fernandez at center back.
Yeah, but
they're playing Lunin. They're playing Lunin and goalkeeper, bro. But look, this is for me, it's a miracle, bro. I cannot believe Real Madrid did it last night.
I fully understand what you're saying, but I just look at those ones and I just think. And I'm sorry, listen, as I'm saying, look, Etihad is an amazing stadium. In terms of the Champions League, we got the record 30 or whatever.
It's not Kevin.
Brother, it's not the.
Okay, you're right.
Brother, it's not the Camp Nou, bro. It's not the Camp Nou.
Messi, I understand.
You know what I'm trying to say? Was both of them against? No, one was Villanova and the other
was Pep as well too.
Both of them were Pep.
Both of them were Pep.
Yeah, see, it's a bit crazy.
You're right. Look, if I have to rank them,
Messi scored 73 goals that season. If I
have to rank them, they're coming third. I understand, but they're for me, they're at the same table. They got a full plate. We're eating appetizers. I get that, but for me, the heroics of that game, honestly, I have to give so much credit. I don't care what anyone's going to say. People are going to say Jude has PR. Jude didn't play that great.
But
Jude,
what was
Jude
he meant to do? They had 30%
for me,
possession.
Jude did all he could yesterday. Honestly, they were backs
Valverde.
against the wall. The goal, by the way, comes from this incredible
Yes, good
control
touch.
and turn from Jude. Buried himself into the ground for that win.
Yeah.
I give him credit. Fede Valverde. Oh my days, Cam, this is the most underrated player in Europe. I don't care what anybody tells me. He does his job to a T. He's not fancy. He's not the most elegant. He's not going to score you 50 goals a season, but he knows his role to a T and he performs it, executes it perfectly every single time. Does he need to fill in at right back when Carvajal goes up? He'll do it. Does he have to kind of play in the middle and combine with Cruz and all that stuff? He'll do it. Can he pop up a goal? He'll do it. Will he put his body on the line defensively? He'll do it. This is the kind of guy that every single team on the planet would love to have, bro.
He's one of them ones where, like, I don't know, you used to have like Marquisio's and used to have like what's it?
For me, he's like the Vidal of
Rakitich's
this
and
team, bro.
Vidal.
Yeah,
like
for
them
me, he's
type
the
of
Vidal
players
of
where
this
it's just
team,
like
bro.
they go under the radar, but they're there. I'm sure if you speak to the team, they'll probably be like, oh yeah, he's our most important player.
He's the heartbeat of this. For me,
They'll
he's
say
the
that.
heartbeat of this Real Madrid
He's
team.
the Chris Bosh of the big three. You know what I'm trying to say? That's how they'll look
For
at
me,
it.
he is the heartbeat of this team.
I want to
honestly,
say,
man.
Matt, I want to give also, like, you know, before we probably, I know you got some stuff about Man City and with like Haaland and stuff, but when I look at it, like, we were talking about Rudiger, yeah, I want to give a massive shout to Rudiger, not because he scored the penalty, right? The reason why I want to give him a shout is because there was such a notion around Rudiger about he's only in a back three. Listen, he got signed by Chelsea for a reason, and then it didn't work out with Frank Lampard. Lampard wanted him out. It didn't look great for him in the back two. It wasn't looking great under Lampard. And then Tuchel coming with a new formation, then he went to a world-class level. And everyone just said, oh yeah, he's a back three centre-back.
Yeah.
For me, there's no such thing as a back three centre-back. What does that mean? Now, if you're talking about a wing back, it's a little bit different because they're playing in winger positions. It's different. But a back three centre-back doesn't make sense to me, bro. It's just about how you set them up. And Rudiger has proven that he is an elite centre-half. I actually find him the most enjoyable watch of a defender in the world. He's old school. Man, yeah. He takes on his assignment. Yeah. He still plays with the ball.
Carries the ball.
He can defend wide areas. He can carry. He's a goal threat in both. And he's an opposition goal in their box. Defensively, he's monstrous in his box. I just think he's a sensational centre-half, world class. And what he did to Haaland's going to be thinking about that at night.
This is 3 games, by the way, because let's not forget the first leg
he was banned for the other one.
Locked
him up, bro. So I remember there was a time when we're like, who's the Haaland stopper? It's Antonio Rudiger, mate.
But I'm not going to move away from this Man City Real Madrid subject without talking about one guy. And I've had a lot of time to dissect this because when the moment happened, I was stunned. My reaction is on SDS. I talked about it a little after, but honestly, my head was puzzled. Like I was flabbergasted. And I've had the night to think about it, and I'm ready to speak about this now. And I'm not even going to talk about his performance because for me, Erling Haaland, we know what he is. We know what he is at this point. He is not a guy that is going to dominate 90 minutes of the game. He's not a guy who's going to like be dropping deep and taking on it. I know what he is. Erling Haaland is a poacher, maybe the best in the world at that, one of the best of all time. And for me, the games against Rudiger has exposed his weaknesses. Thierry Henry has had 2 wonderful segments now where Erling Haaland, this summer, you need to work on your hold-up game, your post-up game. It's poor for a player of that size. 6'3", 6'4", a monster of an athlete. I don't care whether your game is in transition or not. It's time now that you grow on your game and become a guy that can hold off the best center backs in the game, be a brilliant hold-up player, but that'll come. That's not my issue. Cam, I don't know what you're going to say to this, but I find it actually unbelievable that Pep Guardiola has come out and said that the reason that Erling Haaland left yesterday's game after 90 minutes with 30 minutes and potentially penalties left to play in one of the biggest games of your campaign left, Erling Haaland asked Pep Guardiola to take him out. In my opinion, that is one of the weakest moves from an elite level footballer I have ever seen in my life. And people are going to say, oh, this is why people don't take care of players' welfare. We treat these guys like they're robots. More time than not, I would hear it. If this was match day 32 against Luton, I'd agree. If this was match day 25 against Sheffield United, I would agree. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the Champions League quarterfinals against Real Madrid with 30 minutes left to save your season. And you're telling, I'm not done. I don't care if you were feeling something, bro. If Lionel Messi did this, in the semifinals of the World Cup 30 minutes left to go against Croatia. I can't play anymore. Someone else come in. We would kill him. If Cristiano Ronaldo did this, we would kill him. Those are even the two GOATs. Let's not even compare him to that. If Kylian Mbappe did this, we would kill him. If Wayne Rooney did this, we would kill him. There is an expectancy, right or wrong, that the elite level players are supposed to have such an elite level mentality that when the game is on the line like that, you stay on the pitch, bro. You are willing to die. And
KDB did the same.
KDB, look,
he named up KDB.
It's not.
I think Akanji.
Akanji hype. I don't care about Akanji.
But
KDB, I'm willing to give him slightly more benefit of the doubt because KDB is 32 years old. KDB has mileage on the clock. He's ran himself into the ground, and he's also coming back from injury. And KDB spends the whole game running. Erling Haaland spends the whole game camped inside the box, touching the ball once every 15 minutes. I'm not willing to get... And he's 23 years old. Look at the guy. You have 30 minutes left. If you get injured for the next game, so be it, bro. But your team needs you now. Now. It's not as if Pep said, okay, I'm going to make a tactical switch in Haaland. We're going to try Alvarez. You, of all people, went to your manager and said, I can't do it today. Let's hope for somebody else. For me, that's disgraceful. For me, if I'll even take it to basketball, I'll take it to any sport. If LeBron James in the last 5 minutes of a game says, I don't got it in me today, someone else take it. We are killing him, Cam. We are killing him. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, maybe I'm old school, maybe I need to think about player welfare more. But the way I was raised and the way I grew up watching the best players of all time play, winners don't do that, bro.
I don't think he's out here running from the grind, though. I don't think he is. I think we need to, obviously, one thing I would say is I think Pep Guardiola coming out and saying that is a little bit of a, I'm not going to, I do think maybe because it's Pep, people are not going to say it, but I do think he's throwing them under the bus a little bit. To come out and say, oh yeah, they asked to come off. You know how it's gonna ignite people. You know how people are gonna speak about it. So I don't really think maybe Pep should have done that in that moment because, I mean, what's the difference between Ten Hag saying he had a bad training session and him saying he asked to come off? In a way, you're kind of saying they're not really made for it in this particular moment. But what I would say is Haaland is coming back from injury as well, as you mentioned with KDB. We don't know the reasons why he asked to come off. Because one thing I know, listen, I'm not an elite football player, but I've been in change rooms where we've gone to extra time and the manager first of all will say, who's feeling it? Who's feeling it? Who's feeling it? And sometimes you got a cramp and I get it. Some people are going to go out. Wait, I'm just saying, sometimes you can be feeling something and you go out there and you might make it worse for your team. So he might, in a way, have just been like, we don't know the notion. Bro, he could have had a physio doing this to his leg and he could have been saying, I want to carry on. And in the physio could have been, you just don't really know.
Then it's not him that asked to come off. Then it's not him that asked to come off. Bro, the best players of all time need to be dragged off the pitch. And that's why I'm giving credit to Jude. Because you talk about, did he have it or not? Jude was on the ground dead on his knees yesterday, bro. There was a counterattack where Jude could barely run. And he still had the minerals inside him. Carry on for the whole 120 minutes. I'll take a penalty. Do what you have to do. The best players of all time have to be dragged off the pitch in those kinds of moments.
I do think in the biggest games and stuff, Haaland's got question marks around him, right? He hasn't really found his way to be effective in the biggest games yet. And we saw in the Champions League semi-finals and FA Cup final and whatever. But I don't know. I wouldn't question his mentality. I would like to know more on how it happened. So that's fine. But I do think now there is and not necessarily you, because you have said your tweet and you said your thing a while ago about Haaland being the best footballer and stuff. But I do think now there's a big kind of like everyone's trying to pile on to Haaland. And I'm just like, listen, we've let worse players have downish seasons. We got this guy that's come off a trouble scoring 50 off a Ballon d'Or year, didn't win it. Cool. This year, having a poor season, still poor season is the wrong word to say. Having a subpar to his standard season, but still the top goal scorer in the Premier League and stuff. And I think now people are just kind of just piling on because it's not the Haaland that we've become accustomed to see. And then it's just like, what are they going to say next year if he goes and scores 40, 50 again?
But that's the
that's the thing. That's the thing about it. That I'm kind of like.
For me, though, that's the issue of Haaland.
I think Roy Keane has put stuff out there.
Of course, Roy Keane has now put a target.
Now everyone's on it.
But this is the issue of Haaland, though, bro. It's going to be this for the rest of his career. When he scores, we're all going to ignore his flaws. When he doesn't score, all the flaws are going to be apparent. The problem is, people were blind to them last season, and now we're piling them onto him. If we're just going to be honest about Erling Haaland and say what he's like, then I have no issue.
But the thing is, though, but can there not be another version of Haaland that's still this version, that's still the current constructed Haaland? Like, it's a different, the team that he's in, as I don't want to say half, but the way Man City play is very, Haaland is just going to be in the box. Is it one day Pep Guardiola is going to leave? One day Haaland is going to leave. We can still see the same player. Then all of a sudden, he's the most deadly finisher in transition that we've ever seen. He has another player that's behind him. He has somebody closer to, it could be a lot different. I do think now,
I just don't think though, I don't think we should have to wait though to see again, because bro, we criticize other players for this, man. Why does
I fully agree with what you're saying in terms of his footballing ability.
But this whole thing now that even forget about even footballing ability. This whole thing now that he has to play in a transition team. You're 6'4".
He doesn't have to.
Big as an ox. Please, there is no excuse for the way Rudiger has ragdolled you, bro. Rudiger doesn't ragdoll every striker like this, bro.
All I'm saying is, I agree in terms of the football ability. Fully agree. Like, we've had these discussions a lot. You know what I mean? He'll never be a Luis Suarez to me. He'll never be an R9. He'll never be Henry, whatever. But at the same time, it's the same question. Like, it's a question mark, which is fine. But it's just for me, it's the pylon. Because when I look at Kylian Mbappe, for example, I'm seeing Mbappe trying to be this facilitator. You ain't that guy, bro. So now should I hold you to those standards? Like, well, you're never going to be an Henry in that respect.
No, he won't.
You're just a transit. But in a way, it's like you're so good at what you do that the team are going to have to find ways to making you better. The team are going to get the best out of you, if you get what I'm saying. Because when I see Mbappe dropping into the hole, into the 10, I'm like, what are you doing, bro?
It's not his game.
You ain't that guy.
But for me, there's levels between the two of them in terms of like how much they can do. But that's the issue. Okay, Mbappe can't play make like these guys, but Mbappe can create goals for himself. Mbappe can be isolated on the wing and still make something happen. Mbappe, when he plays with his back to goal, isn't every single time losing the ball.
I genuinely think Haaland can create a goal for himself. I just don't think the platform is letting him do that. I don't think the platform is letting him do. I think Haaland, it's crazy to think that Haaland can't shoot from distance. It's crazy to think that Haaland can't get a touch like a Harry Kane does and just bangs it. Like, he's just not being given the platform to do that for me. That's the thing. One thing I fully agree is the hold-up side, because there was times where Drogba just twists it and hits it on the volley. I get it. That kind of X factor, he maybe needs to add. But I don't think, like, you see how man are talking, like he just going to be tapping it in. That only thing he can do is just tap in. I just think.
Let me ask you this.
He's getting done a little bit dirty, man.
I saw someone tweet this. Do you think this Man City stint has actually hurt Haaland's reputation? That's including the fact he scored 50 goals and won the treble last year. Do you think it's actually hurt the way people look at him?
Maybe in England, because English fans think our view is the most important view. I would say maybe in England. We said this about Jude Bellingham if he came to England. I said if Jude Bellingham comes to England and plays in a Klopp team where he's going to be this roaming 8 and he's going to be doing battle and all that stuff, people are going to have a whole different perception of this. You see, I've even seen Man City fans keep talking about how dislikable Jude is. Yeah, just because the first time you're watching him this season, mate. You know what I mean? That's the only reason. So I just think unlikable. Sorry, I just think in England we create narratives and it can stick. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, look at the same thing with, I always keep saying it as an example, is Zlatan Ibrahimovic, right? Zlatan had this notion in this country where he's not it. Doesn't score against English teams. Every Champions League game, he's not this guy, he's not that guy. Guy went and dumped 4 on England's head, and all of a sudden the narrative of him completely changed. Then he came to this country, did well, and it's like, wow, if he had come earlier, Zlatan could have been this legendary Prem striker. So I just think in England, narratives start and form, and because English, first of all, English is the most popular speaking language, like English football is the most popular league in the world. Once it starts to form, it sticks. I wouldn't say Haaland's reputation. Maybe in this country, people are going to start saying all that type of stuff, but let's not forget who Haaland is. This is the guy that broke a record in his first season. This guy's a terror to this league,
He's one of the greatest goal scorers I've ever seen.
People need to, I don't know, man. Listen, you see me, I get onto players, but when you show me that you are an all-timer very quick, I struggle to get onto you that as much as maybe others. Like, you see people always saying, at your boy Mbappe. I'm like, bro, he's an all-timer, bro. I've seen enough for me to give him more. And I just think people are not giving Erling Haaland any form of, let's see. I think people are on him too quick, man.
You know what, bro? I might have heard that, but yesterday, honestly, like, it's actually bothered me. Like, seeing him, bro, I'm telling you, I think
you're on Haaland because of. I think you have exterior reasons for being on Haaland. I think You're onto Haaland because you said your claim about him being for which you were right,
but the
and
thing
they
is,
tried to scold you, and I think that's created a bit of a.
I'm past that.
I think it's created a bit of a Haaland.
Let bygones be bygones, bro. I know who Haaland is, bro. For me, that's not a problem anymore. I know, like for me, it doesn't bother him anymore. But this could have been anyone. This could have been. If I'm telling you right now, bro. If I saw Messi do that, it would have bothered me. It would have bothered me. I can't believe for you, for example, like it's not. It's for me. It's like everything that we were taught as like sports fans.
Yeah.
For me, that went against everything.
It annoys me because, as you said, I like to see guys dig deep, like really fight for the game. You know what I'm trying to say? Like Jude did, like Camavinga did, who I don't think had a great game, and all these guys that were on the pitch and really dug deep. So I fully agree with it. But the only reason why I'm saying let me wait is because I don't know the manner in it happened. Remember when Bruno Fernandes was moving mad at the 7-0 and then he asked to come off the pitch? Bro, I went ballistic because I saw how it happened. But I just haven't seen how it happened
so
with Haaland.
if you see Haaland this weekend starting against Chelsea.
No, but why shouldn't he start though?
Why shouldn't he start? So you were okay to come up against City, but then 3 days later, you're good.
Man.
The game's on Saturday. The game's Saturday. Bro,
that's my point. I would get onto Haaland.
You know what the most annoying? Let me land. This is the most annoying part for me. Rodri has played 77 games this season. He plays every minute of every game. He played 120 minutes yesterday.
I mean, different human, but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
It's hurt my soul, bro. Honestly.
I know what you're saying.
For me, a bit of football died yesterday, bro. Honestly.
Oh my God.
Honestly,
now you're being now you're being damn dramatic.
I mean it.
That's a bit of football died.
Yesterday, bro, I promise you, a bit of the soul of football died yesterday.
Oh my God, bro. How about when Messi retired after missing his penalty?
Yeah, honestly, shambolic.
Yeah, the football died.
Shambolic.
That's when football died.
And it was good that he came back.
That football's still dead. That's when football died.
I'll even give credit to your guy, Ronaldo. Euro 2016, he had to be dragged off the pitch, bro. He tried coming on 3 different times. He had to be dragged off the pitch.
That's
with the
funny,
mosquitoes
bro.
flying around his face.
Oh my days.
That's what winners do,
Listen,
bro.
This was meant to be a full episode of Champions League, but only
I'm
on
telling
Man City,
you,
Real
bro.
Madrid.
Oh, it disrupted me yesterday.
Oh my goodness, bro.
It hurt my well-being, honestly. I feel like J. Cole right now, bro.
But you're so dramatic, bro. You are so dramatic. But listen, I think we have to say that's like a part 1 because this was
we might have to drop that
long.
as a 20 episode.
That's what I'm saying because I think this is like a part 1.
Yeah.
And I think we got to segue into the
Arsenal,
into
Bayern.
the next ties. Yeah, I mean because this might have to be a episode on
it deserved it. I'm telling you, it deserved it. What a tie!
Jesus, I mean, I hope you put the front. I hope you put the title as Erling Haaland has killed football. I hope you put that as the title. Erling Haaland has ended football. The game of football is in disarray because of Erling Haaland, bro. I hope so, but yeah. Anyway, are we moving on?
Let's talk about Arsenal. But I got everything off my chest.
Okay.
I know you got a lot on your chest for this game, so you got the stage, sir. Arsenal Bayern. Go take your celebration lap. Hey, allow me to have this dance.
Yeah. I mean, the Bayern Arsenal game was a perfect tale of. Should I say don't judge a book by its cover, or should I say never write off your opponent? Or I'll say never write off your opponent. It was a perfect tale of that because let's keep it 100. I've seen clips online. I've seen everything. And I won't say all Arsenal fans because there was Arsenal fans when even I said, wow, Arsenal might really do Bayern here when Bayern dropped points to flipping Heidenreich or whoever they played, dropped points to, right? So I was like, okay, Bayern might be in trouble here. And some fans were like, listen, it's Champions League, it's different. So I'm not going to paint them all with the same brush, right? But there was elements of the fan base that was celebrating. They were happy that they got Bayern Munich. They're looking at it. They want to dump out Harry Kane, dump out Dier, all this type of stuff. And from the fan base, I think there was some overconfidence. You know what I mean? There was overconfidence going into it. When Arsenal, for me, I'm going to talk about Arsenal in the greater picture. I'm not even going to talk about just particularly in this game. Arsenal, for me, this Champions League, they've been okay. You know what I mean? They dropped away points at PSV. They dropped points. They lost against Porto. They the Emirates game, it went to penalty shootouts against Porto. The game against Bayern at home, 60,000 fans, not one Bayern soul. The only Bayern fan that was in the stadium got his ass beat up. He got beaten up. Yeah. There's only one Bayern fan in the stadium. And then you look at the way Arsenal performed in all of them games. For me, very subpar. Arsenal were not at it in this Champions League knockout rounds. And there is a lot of talk about Arteta in Europe. Arteta in Europe is a bit shaky. We've seen it in the Europa League. Dumped out by, was it Olympiacos? Yeah. Dumped out by Villarreal, dumped out by Sporting. You know what I mean? And then now you get to this point and you're dumped out by Bayern Munich. And I think Bayern Munich deserved it in the end. I don't think Arsenal showed what they are. They're not showing what they show in the Premier League. And somebody made a good point where in the Premier League, everybody tries to play the same. You know, everybody sets up the same. People are trying to pass it in the back. Bayern Munich didn't do that. Bayern Munich just said, you know what? All right, we're going to suss out Arsenal. We're going to see, Saka, what have you got? We're going to put 2 on you. Lockdown easy. Martinelli, what have you got? We're going to put 2 on you. Lockdown easy. Odegaard, he was trying to play it very safe. You know what I mean? Not doing them threatening passes and stuff. Very safe. We'll put Lima, we'll put Goretzka. Declan Rice was looking a bit lost in there. You know what I mean? Are you playing in the 6? Are you playing in the 8? He was just kind of
I thought he was the most disappointing player yesterday.
He was running around. It kind of just was a disappointing performance. Jorginho, I thought he got spun on the half turn 3 times by Musiala, and Musiala drove through. I think when I look at them, what they did perfectly was just nullify Arsenal's best threats. And when you nullify Arsenal's best threats, they struggle to find a way of producing something. Do you know what was bailing them out earlier in the season? The set pieces, when they were celebrating set pieces like penalties. You know what I mean? Because they were so deadly. And that way, I remember against West Ham, Arsenal won 6-0 or whatever it was. The first 3 goals were set pieces. I think it was 2, maybe a free kick in a corner or 2 corners and a penalty. Then all of a sudden, wow, I mean, the floodgates are open, Arsenal are going to absolutely run right on you. That's because they're good like that. But in the Champions League, what we just talking about Ancelotti, you need them moments. You see, even Man City, when they won it, you know, De Bruyne's coming, bro. De Bruyne's coming with something. And I just look at Arsenal. Who is doing that? It's not Bukayo Saka. It's not Martinelli. It's not Kai Havertz. It's not Martin Odegaard. For as much as we say he's this amazing talent, it's not Martin Odegaard. Who is doing it? And that's the question. In the Champions League, you need a little bit something different. Just something different. So when I look at Arsenal, they need maybe a Rafa Leao, maybe someone that can just maybe do something with a bit of magic. Yes, you have 2 on you. Get past them 2. You're going to have to. This is like, let's not act like putting 2 on a player is something new. This isn't new. Ronaldo fades 2 all his career. Hazard did all his career. Messi faced 4th. Man are having to create cages to stop these, man. You're good players, so you're going to get highlighted. And I just think that Arsenal players don't, in their moments, seize the moment. I just don't think they seize it.
I completely agree. I mean, this is something, Cam, that me and you have been speaking about for well over a year. Honestly, maybe we haven't put it out on social media.
I have. This actually, I'll show you.
To be fair, I have a video in January similar, saying similar. But I genuinely can remember me and you talking about this even towards the end of last season. Thinking, me and you both rate Arteta very highly. And I've said this numerous times. I believe Arteta is more talented as a manager than his players are as individuals. Or at least most of them are. I think they have some top individuals in the form of Saliba. I think he has potential to be one of the best defenders in the world. I think Declan Rice is an exceptional defensive midfielder, and it's also part of the reason why I'm so disappointed in him yesterday, because I think for £100 million marquee signing, whose best attribute is really taking hold of games and driving forward and being that linchpin in midfield, I thought the game bypassed him in both these legs, and I really thought he struggled to kind of get a grip of it. And I think Martin Odegaard as well, too. I thought he was their best player over both these legs. And I think for most of the Champions League, he has been their best player.
Do you not think that he was being safe? Where's that like long shot? Where's that dip round the corner? I feel like he'll get on the ball and he'll pass it safe. He'll get on the ball and he'll pass. You are the 10.
This is
Martin Odegaard. You're the 10.
This is kind of the
we're talking about Saka. We're talking about Martinelli. But again, we have to hold guys to the standards that they've set. Odegaard, where was that kind of...
I did think, to be fair, Odegaard was driving forward to the ball. I did think he was kind of the one taking the initiative. But this is kind of like the question I want to ask you, right? And it's, again, something I asked in January. We give credit to Ancelotti as much as his players because we say Ancelotti gives his players the platform with his system to express themselves in the final third. A lot of Arsenal fans this morning, the argument between a lot of them is Arteta's system so great and his players are letting him down? Or is Arteta's system restricting his best players from even being able to express themselves? That's for me where a lot of people are kind of having a middle ground. Because I agree with you, right? I look at a guy like, you know how much I love Musiala. Musiala, I didn't think was great in either of these ties, to be honest, for how highly I rate him. But one thing you can guarantee with Musiala is that he could have 6 guys on him, and it's almost like a bit hazard-esque in terms of you can get him the ball, and he's like a get-out-of-jail card. He can kind of evade 3 players, break the press, and then you can start playing. Arsenal don't even have a guy like that, bro.
This is the thing. This is what I'm trying to say. So when people are saying, is his system restricting the players?
That's not something I'm agreeing with, by the way. I'm just giving the counter-argument.
Is his system restricting the players? I mean... I used to feel that sometimes with Ollie, right? When I used to think like but when I used to think that, it's because no matter what people think about Rashford in like 1928, he's a talented player. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Martial is a talent. I think these are very good talents. And you look at Mason Greenwood, like he's a super talent
Bruno
for me.
at that point,
These
Pogba,
are top talents at Pogba. So I'm looking at it. Look at Paul Pogba. I'm looking at these talents and I'm like, wow, we're being held back here. I'm looking at, Martinelli, you're okay. Like,
a lot of people, to give
you're
credit,
okay. Like, I'm sorry. So the Arteta's putting you in a better position.
Did anyone ever say that Oli was holding those guys back? I think a lot of people said he didn't have enough structure to the freedom he was giving them. I don't think anyone could ever say Oli wasn't giving his attackers freedom. No, and I think that's what people are starting to say about Arteta.
No, but I thought the football wasn't good enough for how they play. I thought, like, with the McFred and like the ball progression and stuff, I just thought they weren't being given a platform to really excel. I think in the counter-attack system, if you think counter-attack system is freedom, then okay. Counter-attacking, we were brilliant under Oli. We actually always are brilliant as a counter-attacking team, but I just think in terms of being given the platform to succeed to their ability, I think they were still not held back, might be the wrong word, but there was more to give, I think, from Oli. And even Ten Hag's got. But my whole
point though is with Oli, you could never say with Oli's system or whatever you want to call it, that he didn't give his players the platform to express their individual brilliance. I don't think anyone can say that. And I think people, that's their criticism of Arteta, that his system is too X's and O's. It's too chess-like. Everyone is like, we know how we were talking about roles and they fit into that role.
Okay.
It's too much like that. That's what we're trying to say.
I fully hear what you're trying to say, right? But then I have to refer back to it. Who's he restricting? Well, who's the talent that if Arteta releases the shackles is going to go absolutely berserk?
That's where you're going to disagree. Arsenal fans would say Saka and Martinelli.
Well, but they're not that. But it's not though. Like they should They should be thanking Arteta for what he's done for them, bro. And this isn't coming from the players, so I'm not trying to dig out the players, but I'm saying that the fans, they should be thanking Arteta for the way the structure that he's put in for these players to exceed. Saka's gone up statistically every single season. For me, he's not as good this year as last year. I don't care if he's got 30 GA. He's not as good as this season as he was last year. But people are saying, he's restricting. Bro, the best of Saka and Martinelli is because of Arteta. Saka was playing left back with Emery. Do you know what I mean? Martinelli, obviously Emery signed him, but the best we've seen of him is through Arteta. So I don't think he's restricting them. At the same, I think he's looked at what he has and he's probably said, hey, I need to do this to succeed. And that's not to diss these guys. I just think that's what I remember what Jose Mourinho, great quote. They said, how do you manage Cristiano Ronaldo?
So you don't.
You don't manage Cristiano Ronaldo. He's that good. You don't manage Messi. You don't manage Ronaldo. You don't manage Eden Hazard, bro. You don't manage these guys, bro, because they're going to go out and do it. Now, if your talent and your X factor is a little bit, I'm going to have to manage you, bro. And that's what I think Arteta's doing. He's going to have to manage it. Saka's still going to download, hopefully, when he's going to get better and download that Robin pack where he just starts whipping it top corner, or he's going to download a bit more of a bag when he's dribbling and stuff, because when these guys get these moments, they don't do anything with it. So I don't see how I get it. It's a very methodical system, and you know me, that's not my style of football. I don't like it. I don't like it. I can admire it, but it's not how I love the game. But I don't think he's restricting them. I think he's doing what he can to put these guys in the best positions to succeed based on their level of talent. I keep saying, if Arsenal are going to want to get better, they're going to have to get higher quality. Does that mean some man are going to have to drop to the bench and stuff? Do you know what I mean? So, listen, the only criticism I have of Arteta majorly in this situation is we're saying, he needs his quality. Well, you're the one that spent 70 or 65 on Havertz. That's not going to particularly going to give you that. So those are the stuff. When people were coming back at my tweet, I was agreeing with that side of things. But I think in terms of restricting them, I disagree. I
think it really comes, because I tend to agree more with you. And look, I think you've taken a lot of flack the last week about your views on Martinelli. I think last night further strengthened your point of view. But yeah, a lot of Arsenal fans, they do hold a lot of faith in these two guys. And bro, if I have to stand on a side, I do stand with you. I do stand more on your side. I don't think Martinelli and Saka, I think Martinelli can be a great piece in a fully functional attack. I think he has great transitional threat. I think he's actually a really good finisher in front of goal. I think he could be a part of a front three that goes on to challenge for major honors.
Can I say Saka? Yeah. Because a lot of people, what I'm starting to see is that you still get Martinelli, you still get someone, what about Saka? What about Saka? I'm like, why is Arsenal fans telling me what about Saka? Saka, listen, it depends on how highly you rate him. Some people have said he's world class. Some people say he's elite. He's this, he's that. Better than this, better than that. Scrap all that. The reality of the situation is, though, yeah, everyone is mocking Saka about the limp. Now, I'm not going to focus too much on limp. That's narratives. That's online narratives, whatever. One thing about him, though, right, with Saka is this is a young player, yeah. Again, the same way I said with Haaland, this is a young player who really and truly has been given the mantle to basically carry the club. Yeah, go and be that guy for the club. At no stage has Saka been given the opportunity to, just sit on the bench for 2-3 games.
That's where I was going.
Just sit on the bench for 2-3 games, just see what's going on. All right, come in. You know what, Saka, maybe try and go on the left. You might cause some damage on the left. Maybe try and go. It's just been Saka every single game, 90 matches in a row, deliver. And now, so I do have a little bit of sympathy for him.
That's my gripe of Arteta. That's, for me, if I had to criticize Arteta on one thing, I would say his rotation and his trust in his backups is poor.
And I think
it's poor. And like, you could even say, oh, well, should he trust in Nketiah? Should he trust in Reece Nelson? Excuse me, he gave them new contracts. Reece Nelson is on $100K a week to basically sit on the bench. Yeah. Eddie Nketiah, did anyone believe Eddie Nketiah yesterday was going to come on and score an equalizing goal at the Allianz? Yeah. So he doesn't have for me, Saka is a bit in that sense a victim in terms of he never gets the rest.
Yeah.
But from what my point is, I think Saka is a really good player. I think he's one of the best in his position. And I think in a really good team, his best role is as a facilitator to more talented guys like a Rafael Leao. Like if Leao comes to Arsenal tomorrow, it's his team, bro. It is his team. Like it just is. And that's okay. Not every player is the superstar on a team. That's absolutely fine. And I think Arsenal fans this tie have kind of, I don't want to say had a reality check, but I think they're reanalyzing the situation in terms of like, we're a great unit. We are a well-coached team. We're a great side. We can go on to challenge for major honors. But I think what's stopping them from getting to the very next level is that little bit of flair, is that little bit of superstar presence. And it's funny because I think you can look at Arsenal teams in the last 10, 15 years, that was probably not something that they were missing. They had a Fabregas, they had a Van Persie, they had an Alexis, they had an Ozil, but they didn't have the structure.
Yes.
Now it's almost the opposite.
Yes, the opposite.
But I will say it's easier for me to add the superstar onto the structure than it is to try and give structure to the superstar.
Absolutely. And that's what we didn't have with Pogba and Greenwood and these type of guys. But when you're looking at what you said, somebody like Alexis Sanchez, for example.
That's the kind of player that wins you a game.
Wow. If they had Alexis Sanchez in this team and that left wing or in that false nine, wow. Do you know what I mean? Peak Sanchez in this team would go crazy. So that is what they need to kind of look for. But one thing that's good for them is the objective is clear to go and get that. They've got a brilliant defense. Timber still to come back. They've got Declan Rice for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, right? They've got Odegaard, same thing. All right, they need to maybe fill the left centre mid, maybe issue, Partey is going to be going as well, blah, 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 blah. But it's a clear objective on what you can see that they need to improve on. And that's important. It's the same way where I thought, well, listen, the Premier League's not over, but I thought this was meant to be the moment where like maybe it was their 18-19 Liverpool season, as I said. The objective was clear for Liverpool in 17-18 to what to do to become a better team. Get a DM, get a goalkeeper. Like we saw, they had carriers. We saw what it took for Liverpool to get to the next level. And I think it's clear for Arsenal what it takes. Now that's down to Arteta. Arteta's no mug. He's no fool. I'm sure he'll know this. Do you know what I mean? But listen, let's move on from them. Let's get on to Bayern Munich. I think Bayern Munich, hey, listen. European Tommy Tukes might be the truth.
How many times have I told you?
He's the fourth manager to reach the Champions League semi-finals with 3 different teams.
How many times have I told you
Ancelotti, Jose, Pep.
Thomas Tuchel, I'll say it again. Last year against Pep Guardiola and Manchester City, who went on to win the treble, Thomas Tuchel coached a good game. He coached a very good game. He was let down by individual errors and by a much better team, but he as a coach coached a good game.
So what is the issue with Tuchel? Because why is he losing jobs? Why is he European? Is he just a Rafa Benitez?
And you were gonna take that as a diss. That's not a diss.
That's not a diss. Yo, hold on. Rafa Benitez won 2 leagues with Valencia. He won the Champions League with him. He won the Europa League with Chelsea. Like, What's the issue?
I don't think that's the worst. I don't think that's the worst comparison. I think Thomas Tuchel is excellent at organizing defense. I think he's excellent at managing these knockout.
His football doesn't get you off your feet like Rafa Benitez.
I don't know if he's the best in terms of creating like a free-flowing attack. He had in the past. I remember at Dortmund and his early years at PSG, I really thought he was that kind of manager. But maybe like he's been scarred or scorned. But yeah, no, I think that's fine. He's not Pep. He's not Ancelotti. I don't think he's in the top 3 managers in the world. No. But he is a manager that, if you're going up against Rafa Benitez and you're going up against Thomas Tuchel, hey, you're going to have to coach your ass off.
Bro, Benitez in the European nights with Liverpool, with a meaty Liverpool squad, was a problem, bro. Yeah. He was dumping out all-time Chelsea teams. He was going to the Camp Nou with Craig Bellamy and getting results. Like, this isn't even a joke. Like, I see a lot of similarities in them.
And that's fine.
And they have... I think Tuchel, one thing that I think annoys people with Tuchel is that he has this obsession with kind of, I don't want to be disrespectful, but kind of like mediocre-ish players.
He likes organization.
I have to give an applause to Eric Dier, because Eric Dier, mate, I was like, why is he at this level in the first leg?
He coached a great first two, he played a great
After his first 20 minutes of the first leg, Dier dropped 2 masterclasses, bro. Yeah. So I have to give him credit, but I think that's something that Tuchel has on him. He kind of likes these kind of maybe less talented, kind of hard-working players.
Another one I have to give a massive shout out for me is Joshua Kimmich, who again, bro, please, why are you playing defensive midfielder? You have the capacity to be the best right back on the planet.
He has the capacity to literally be new Lahm.
Yes,
I said this in 2020. Kimmich will be the new Lahm, and I actually said he could surpass Lahm as a right back. And then he just started, he started playing. He was playing in midfield. He took it to heart. He's like, let me go. He started playing in midfield. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, Kimmich for me, as a right back, is elite. Like, I don't think there's many better in the world.
He's a complete fullback.
I absolutely love Trent. But for me, that's the 2 for me, if at the right back position. Then he starts going to midfield. In a midfield, you're not like a top 5 centre midfielder. You're good.
He's too vertical for me. I've always said that. He's way too vertical. And the thing is, like, his best attribute on the ball is his over-the-top passes, his crossing. You can do that from right back. It's a bit kind of like Trent, bro. Like, and that's why I've never wanted Trent to play in midfield, because you are going to lose his best attribute at times, because with the positions he's taking it up. And these guys aren't like really good high volume short passers. Like, that's not their game.
And the thing is, he's so good defensively as well. He's smart.
He's lockdown, bro.
He knows what he's doing. And I just think, like, when I saw him there, obviously he scored the winner, done all of that, but I was happy to see him do it. But
I brought that up because Thomas Tuchel has put him on the right back, and in midfield you had Goretzka and Leimer. I don't really think either of these guys are like exceptional midfielders, but they're functional, bro.
They're functional, and that's what Tuchel loves. But sometimes as a fan, you want to see the Thiago Alcantara. You know what I mean? You want to see that, not a Goretzka. You want to see Verratti's. You want to see these type of players. So that's just us as football fans. The same way like, when Oli had McFred, we're like, hold on, I want to see the ballers. Like, where's the... So he just has an obsession with them type of players. But when it works, here we go. As I said, only Pep, only Jose, and Ancelotti, who we're calling the three of the GOATs, have reached the semi-final with 3 different teams. So Tuchel is an esteemed thingy. And hey, would it surprise you to see Bayern Munich go to the final?
It wouldn't.
They've won it in Wembley before.
It wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. Again, I said Bayern Munich were being disrespected, and I always say in football and
we both predicted Bayern winners.
Yeah, and we were one of the few, to be honest with you. I always say in football, right, in sport in general, it's a common phrase. One of the most dangerous opponents you can face is one that's being discounted and one that's kind of like looking on the down. That's the most dangerous opponent. They have nothing to lose, bro. They have nothing to lose. Bayern Munich had nothing to lose in this game. Thomas Tuchel has nothing to lose. He's leaving at the end of the season, bro.
Bayern have not gone trophyless for 12 years. So, I mean, Owen Hargreaves was there. I was sitting there listening to Owen Hargreaves on BT, and he was like, "Well, it looks like it's going to happen this year." I was like, "Hey, man, okay."
Yeah.
What narrative is the strongest out of these semi-finalists? Out of PSG, Bayern, Real Madrid, and Dortmund? What narratives? Because I feel like there's some really good narratives with each team.
There are some great ones, but for me, and we can even move on to this game next if you want, it's so obvious for me. Right. Mbappe winning the Champions League in his last season at PSG, when Messi, Neymar, and Verratti aren't there, when he could potentially play the next team he's playing for and go to them as either a winner with the Ballon d'Or and be like, yo, I'll save you, or he comes to them with his tail between his legs and says, please save me. Yeah. It's obviously Mbappe in his last year at PSG. For me, it's no debate. Mbappe is he's the biggest name in football. He's the best player in football, and he's the biggest storyline right now.
Yeah, there's good because there is the Harry Kane first trophy kind of vibe.
And if it's a Champions League at Wembley,
wow, Champions League at Wembley to bring Kane's first trophy.
Every head must bow every time.
Listen, you know what I mean? And then, as you mentioned, that could, and then if England have a good Euros, that could be a Ballon d'Or for him. Yeah. The Mbappe story as well, as you mentioned, that is a heavy one. If he dumps out Real Madrid potentially in a Champions League final before going to them, I remember the only time I've seen something similar to that, the 2 times, was Coutinho dumping out Barcelona for Bayern. And then also Morientes scoring for Monaco
against Real Madrid.
Real Madrid while he was a loanee. And listen, I'm talking about loanees. Like Mbappe's on loan right now. He basically is. But that story would be insane because
I think similar. It would have been Götze. Remember if he had played that Champions League final.
See, now you're talking about mentalities.
He ducked fate. Yeah, he ducked fate.
That's
he
the
was
worst.
He was like, either way, I win.
That's the worst ever. That one was the worst ever. But yeah, the Mbappe story. But then even you look at Real Madrid, you know, to get to 15, Drew Bellingham's first one, going again, just the fact that it's Real Madrid going again and winning again. Ancelotti to become the first one to win 5, that's incredible. And then obviously you look at Dortmund as well. And listen, people are going to say, what is really going on for Dortmund? But Dortmund are a funny club because as much as people laugh at them as like, oh, there's beta and they just never win things or whatever, like Dortmund are always, I wouldn't say there, but they're always about.
Yeah.
Quarterfinals. Dortmund are always there. As much as they are this selling club and they're whatever, they're always kind of around, bro. You can name a few Champions League which Dortmund kind of have an impact on. Yeah. You know what I'm trying to say?
The last final at Wembley, I think it was the last one.
It was.
Dortmund were there.
But what I would say is Jadon Sancho, let's talk about it. If Jadon Sancho wins a Champions League with Dortmund,
Ten Hag.
Yeah, it's the worst look of Manchester United ever. Let's keep back.
Ten Hag might never get a job again if
if Jadon Sancho goes and wins the Champions League, and listen, I have no cards in anyone. You know what I mean? I'm just here to enjoy it now. If Jadon Sancho goes and wins the Champions League, that I think will be the greatest validation moment I've ever seen in my life. Booted out of Real Madrid. Booted out of Manchester United. Yeah. You man are lingering around fighting top 9 with Chelsea. And I go and win a Champions League. You know the first thing I tweeted when Sancho left Manchester United? Sancho's going to the Champions League. That's all I wrote. Sancho's going to the Champions League. And now he's in the Champions League semis.
But you know the funniest thing about all this?
Have Dortmund secretly played the best football out of all these teams, by the way?
Low-key. But Cam, the most embarrassing thing, the funniest thing about all of this is that he's going back to Man United. Don't let Jadon Sancho rock off the Carrington on the first day of his Champions League medal.
He ain't letting no one wear his chain,
Rush, you want to touch this? Psych! Ten Hag, you want this shit?
Bro,
Psych!
No one is touching his chain, bro.
This is the first time someone has been exiled and come back as a winner.
Literally, bro.
It'll be the first time.
Bro, it's honestly, that should be a proposition that scares you. Like, for me, it doesn't really scare me. Whatever it is, but it's a hilarious narrative for me. And maybe that's an English Man United narrative, but that is...
No, I'm happy for Dortmund, though, because I agree. They've played incredible football, bro. And I've said it all season long. I actually personally didn't have them beating Atletico. I thought Atletico would edge it. But the way I was seeing people completely disregard Dortmund, because I think when we look at certain teams, they have like a certain stereotype around them. Atletico, the minute we saw that Inter game, the memories of Costa and Raul Garcia and Godin. Oh, Atletico, man. They're a problem. This could be their...
when I saw them wear that blue kit, I knew they were going to lose. What kit is that?
Like Malaga, bro. But Atletico this year have been poor, man. If you look at them objectively, they're 20 points behind in La Liga. They have a good record against Real Madrid. They don't have a good record against anyone else. It's the worst defensive team I've ever seen from Diego Simeone. Meanwhile, Dortmund, everyone has this idea, because it's fun to laugh at Dortmund. I get it. They're a selling club. They always lose when it matters. The way they choked last year is embarrassing. But the way people are talking about Wanda Metropolitana, they have one of the best stadiums in Europe, bro.
Been there.
And that place was rocking this week. So honestly, I'm happy for Dortmund. I'm happy for their fans.
I want to ask you something as well.
Yeah.
Is it time for Diego Simeone to maybe try another challenge?
Potentially. Potentially, yeah. And I'm a big fan of Diego Simeone. It's not he has to leave because, he's washed. It's not because...
No, he can be... Literally, he's one of the best managers in the world.
I do think to myself sometimes when I'm watching Atletico, he's given everything he can. Yeah. What more can he give for the city? What more can he give for this team?
And it's not even like he's like born and bred Letty. I don't like.
But he's adopted by them. He's adopted that city.
Yeah, he's adopted. But I mean, he was an Inter guy too, and like
I think that is his next step. To be honest, I think Serie A is his next step.
How I see it is if I know Conte played for Juventus as well. Obviously, Simeone did as well. But how I see it is like, if Conte just stayed at Juventus forever, we'd always be like, he could give us more. Like, what can you? Let's see you. And then he went to Chelsea and it boosted his rate. Went to Inter and it boosted. I think Diego Simeone, it's time to try another challenge, bro. There's so many jobs in world football that are opening up, and for me, he's a top 5 manager in the world. He's an incredible manager. He's done things where, forget just falling in love with the journey. He has reached the destination, bro, and won leagues. You know what I mean? Okay, he didn't win the Champions League in the most harshest fashions.
Twice, yeah.
You know what I mean? Twice. But this guy can become one of those era-defining coaches, and he's obviously going to be under Pep and these kind of names, but for me, Simeone should go try. But why wouldn't a Man United want a Simeone? Why wouldn't a Chelsea want a Simeone?
I think if Simeone was on the market every single... I think if Simeone was on the market, almost every single team in Europe would be after him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I want to see it. I want to see Simeone in the Premier League or in the Serie A. Or, hey, Bayern jobs be open up, but he just doesn't make himself available. Do you know who Simeone is, bro? The coach, man. I want to see him take the next step now.
I'd like to see that. Now let's finish off just briefly with the PSG versus Barca tie, because I think PSG were fortunate.
Yes.
But I think Barca sold more than like PSG robbed or whatever. Like Barcelona, for me, this was a collapse on their part. Like I think for me, 3 moments handed the tie to PSG. I think first of all, the Ronaldo Araujo red card. I think this is a moment, right? And it's tough to say. I'm not going to be too harsh on him because it all happens in a flash. But the difference between the elite players and the great players and the good players is that in those moments that happen in a flash, it almost always feels that the elite players have a way of like, they almost like freeze the game. They're like, what should I do? Like they always make the right decision. And I think an elite level defender, not that Araujo isn't great, but an elite level, like a Van Dijk for me, maybe he's not the right example because he's a bit more passive, but like, I don't know, you know what I'm talking about, right? An elite level defender for me, I think plays the odds in that exact moment and realizes, look, we're still up 1-0. Barcola might not even score. And even if he does, it's still 1-1. We have 11 men and we have 60 minutes still leading in the tie. And I think that was a major thing. I think the second one was Xavi taking off Lamine Yamal. And I know people have a problem with me saying that, but I do think that pretending that you were going to defend for 60 minutes against PSG at home with 10 men was ridiculous.
I would have taken off Loa.
I'm actually going to say 4 moments. The third one was Xavi losing his head on the touchline because I think for a young team like that, seeing your elder coach lose his head like that, get sent off kicking. It reminded me, Cam, of when Sir Alex lost his head when Nani got the red card. United completely lost their shape. Mourinho kept his cool, brought on Modric, and the game changed. For me, it reminded me of that moment. And the fourth one, João Cancelo, Ousmane Dembele is on the edge of your box, inside the penalty box, heading out, and you're slide tackling through him.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's why Pep sold you, bro. I'm a big Cancelo fan. That moment right there is why, for me, again, it separates the elite from the great.
Yeah, I think the Yamal sub for me, obviously the red card is the game-changing situation. That's it. That changed the game. That gave it all to PSG, because I actually think if it was 11-11, I think Barcelona would have went through personally. But I think the Yamal sub, I would not have taken him off. I would have taken off Loa. And you even saw Loa had 8 unsuccessful touches leading to a loss of possession. Like, he's not that guy anymore, man. Leo Loa's finished. Like, let's be honest. Like, as an elite, this GOAT striker that we know him as, I would have kept Yamal on because I would have wanted to get guys that are going to get me up the pitch. Some people see it as, well, we'll have someone that will hold up the ball, but he's not really doing that. Yamal can also produce a moment of magic. In a moment of magic, imagine if Yamal does a moment of magic and you go 2-0 up with 10 men. Oh, mate, then you can defend for the rest of your life. I wouldn't have taken him off. Yes, he's 16. I think it was a seniority sub. I think it was just, young guy, listen, mate, you got a long future, you live and you learn, off you go. And we've seen it happen at Man United a few times. I've seen a lot of seniority subs sometimes. I'm just like, why is this guy
I just think Yamal in particular, I understand it more times than not.
Had to come off.
But we have to stop looking at Yamal like a regular 16-year-old. If it was any other 16-year-old, I'd get it. Lamine Yamal is an anomaly. This guy is a superstar at 16 years old. And that's another thing too. Taking off Lamine Yamal, you have a player like that, even with 10 men, you're keeping the defenders honest because you know you have a guy like that you have to worry about. The minute you take him off, all of a sudden PSG can push their line up further. PSG, one thing I gave them credit for, but also it's helped by the fact Yamal went off. They managed that game exceptionally well. And I have to give them credit because most people say, it's 10 men. But only because it's PSG. And I've seen them mess up games they should have won in the past. I thought they managed it and they kept their calm perfectly. But taking off Yamal allowed them to do so, bro. They knew there was no threat in behind.
It's going to be interesting, man.
Can I tell you my hot take for this tournament?
Yeah. You think PSG are winning, innit?
I had them going to the final anyways.
Yeah.
Brother, the way it's all lining up, I just think it's this year, man. I think, and it's, if it
I
doesn't
would
happen
love
this
it.
year, it'll never happen. It'll never happen if it doesn't happen this year.
I would love it if they do it this year.
Yeah, but you would love it for a different reason.
I would love it only simply for Kylian Mbappe.
Nah, you would. Don't lie. You would love it because it would mean that Messi left for PSG.
That's another thing.
The way you've been hating on PSG the last 6 years, and
that's
all of a sudden
another
now you'd love it.
No, listen.
Stay on that side, bro.
The thing is, I don't know PSG. I don't care about PSG as a club. I don't. But Mbappe plays. That's one of my favorite players, right? But you just actually reminded me.
I know.
That
you, bro.
would be great. Oh man, if they win it without Messi, woo! We're about to do some revisionism on Messi's whole stint. I'm telling you.
Who do you have winning this Champions League? It's hard to look past Real.
It's hard to look past Real, man.
And you can be honest, right? Like they're the favorites.
It's so hard. I'm gonna say Real.
I thought you were gonna say I'm gonna say Dortmund.
Nah, because I'm thinking Bayern. Bayern could do it, man.
Any team could do it, bro. That's the beauty of this year's Champions League. Anyone can do it.
The problem is, I don't think both favorites are gonna go through. That's the thing. So if I say Real, that means Dortmund.
I can't lie. I think we got the shocks out of the way. I think we're getting PSG Real, and that for me is tough to call.
That's a great final.
Yeah,
I will be there.
I have to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give mine as well too. Who's the flop of this Champions League quarterfinal, and who's the star that comes out of it more than anyone?
The player or team?
No, I'd say player or manager.
The flop.
The individual star and the individual flop.
Wow. Let me think about this. Damn, didn't expect this question.
Yeah, we'll keep you on your toes.
Let
us know as well too in the comment section below. Who was the star of this Champions League quarterfinal, and who was the flop?
For me, the flop was Martinelli. He got locked both legs and hooked both legs. So, yeah, that's the flop. And then, because a lot of them were talking about Martinelli scores big goals, and this is his time of the season.
This is personal from you. You're talking about personal
a lot of them
from me.
this is his time of the season.
That's the flop is a left winger who played 60 minutes.
Yeah, because you got locked up, and then your opposition man scored. Kimmich scored because he slept.
Go ahead.
So that's one. And then the next one, the player of the
player, manager, who's the individual that impressed you the most this Champions League quarterfinal? Both legs. There's a few.
I'll say Rudiger. I'll say Antonio Rudiger. I love both performances. Manager.
You don't have to give me a manager.
I think
I just say anyone, an individual.
Oh, okay.
So Rudiger is your star.
Yeah, Rudiger's you know how I liked Vitinha's performance at the Camp Nou.
He's a really nice player.
Yeah.
You know, he was at Wolves before.
Yeah. I liked Vitinha's performance at the Camp Nou.
Can I give you mine?
Yeah.
So my flop is obvious. It's Haaland, and you're being disingenuous for not saying Haaland because you're talking about hooked and pocketed.
You're right.
Bro, he had 0 shots on target.
No, you're right.
He literally got pocketed by Rudiger, and then he came off with 30 minutes left to play.
Yeah.
It's obviously Haaland.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Araujo is also in that conversation because for me, that decision right there, that action right there cost Barcelona, in my opinion. It was all downhill from there. The stars, there's a few, but Ousmane Dembele.
MVP.
Booed.
MVP.
Given the Figo treatment.
MVP.
And you had questions over him because I was telling you, Dembele, for me, people are focusing on his goals this season, but he's actually having a pretty decent season. Best assister, or best creator in Ligue 1 this year. And Mbappe didn't have a great 2 legs against Barcelona. And I think the guy who actually stood up in his absence, both in the first leg and in the second leg as well too, was Ousmane Dembele.
MVP. You see what I'm saying? MVP.
Smiling on the touchline, bro.
Yeah. Do you know what? Those are both
you're talking about hatred fueling you.
Yeah.
Ousmane Dembele.
Nah, those
boo
are
again.
Those are both good ones. Haaland and Dembele, I can agree with. I think those are good ones. But I think Dortmund deserve a special shout, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't know who particularly from Dortmund.
Julian Brandt was really good.
But I think
Terzic as well too. The manager.
Good, yeah. The manager, he'll be my manager of the round. Definitely.
Terzic.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, bro, Dortmund are actually popping ball. And they're playing really good
I think
football.
Lunin as well too, by the way.
Yeah, but after
the first one, but it's also how he reacted, bro.
True. Yeah.
Like he was tested 33 shots by City yesterday.
Yeah, but you know, the stat pad the papers, man.
Yeah, but bro, you have to be under the cosh for that long and basically not make a mistake all game. And in the penalty shootout.
And you know what? Talking about injuries, before we end this, talking about injuries and playing on injury, one person we need to give a shout out to is Leroy Sané. Leroy Sané played on an injury, pretty much both legs, but the second leg, 100%. He was injured. And Thomas Tuchel said he's got to have a grit between his teeth because Coman's out, Gnabry's out. You're the only one that's 55%, you're playing. And you're talking about what you said about Haaland and all that type of stuff. That was top mentality. And he was the best attacker, both legs.
Guys, this is going to do it. This has been another episode of the Eye Test. It's going to be a long one, man. If you stood for this long, hey, big up to you guys. Like I said before, let us know in the comment section below who is your star, who is your flop of the quarterfinals this season. Again, big shout out to BR Football for powering this podcast. Go check them out on all their platforms. They continue powering this. And like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff.